Was this pregnancy planned? Do you wake up before your kids in the morning? What are y'all's rules on screen time? I think a lot of it too came from like a insecurity and like body image stuff like as a teenager. What does your husband do? Do you want more kiddos after this little one? Hello everyone. Today I wanted to do the part 2 to my last Q&A. I had so much fun answering your questions last time, and I never even got to touch all of the questions on Instagram, so I thought I would just do a part 2 and address all of the Instagram questions today. I'm currently outside on our back patio. Today is like in the late 70s and it's just perfect weather. So all I want to do is be outside. If you haven't watched my like recent videos, my nausea's been feeling so much better since I started wearing these nausea bands. So yeah, I just feel like I'm kind of like, not totally, but almost back to normal. Like maybe like 75% back to normal. Not including the fatigue. I definitely do not have enough energy to do everything I would like. Even just me being out here before filming, I was just like laying down on the couch out here. And then I was like, oh, I should do a Q&A now. So let's dive into the questions. Okay, so I feel like a lot of the Instagram ones, which I haven't looked at them in a long time, but I feel like a lot of them are like kind of rapid fire, but maybe I'm wrong. So I'm just gonna go in order. We have like maybe like 30 or so, but I'm sure some of them are repeats and stuff. So the first question is, do you wake up before your kids in the morning? No, I do not currently wake up before my kids in the morning. Right now, I am going to bed ideally at like 8:30 and waking up at like 7:30, which is crazy, but I am waking up more during the night since I'm pregnant, and I'm also just so fatigued. I'm someone also who like cannot nap during the day. I just literally don't have the ability to nap, but I do sleep well. So yeah, I'm just trying to get as much sleep as I can right now. And then typically, even when I'm not pregnant, I've talked about this a lot, I really prioritize sleep for so many reasons. Like, I just think that sleep is foundational for every other good habit that you want to have. So for me personally, I am not someone who would sacrifice sleep in order to like get up before my children. Now, if I'm like in a good habit of going to bed early, then I totally would wake up early before my children, as long as I'm getting like minimum, ideally 9 hours of sleep a night, because they say women need more, like women need closer to 9 while men are closer to 7. Sleep is just my top priority, which I feel like you say that and it makes you sound like not productive or lazy. I don't feel like I'm that way at all. It's more just like a very productive decision that I really want to prioritize sleep, so then I have energy to eat well, to work out, to have a better mood with my children, all these things. Sleep is just foundational for all these things. So I personally would prioritize sleep over waking up before the kids. Okay, someone asked, what are y'all's rules on screen time? Typically, we have a rule of just only screen time on Saturdays, or if it's something where it's like a family movie night, because then it's like, you know, it's more of like a family experience that's bringing us all together. But if it's just like the kids watching a show by themselves, then typically we would say like only on Saturdays. Saturday mornings is when I go grocery shopping and I take one of the kids on a date, and that's kind of when we'll let the other kids watch a show while I'm gone, because my husband also works and he likes to work out Saturday mornings, so it's also like kind of nice for him to be able to put a show on for the kids. So that's usually when we'll do screen time. Lately, since I've been pregnant, we've been watching more screen time, like a lot more, myself included. My kids have been watching Little House on the Prairie a lot, and I've been watching it a lot in bed, just days where I'm tired. We'll just snuggle up in bed and watch Little House on the Prairie. So right now is not our norm. Our norm, we would just say like Saturdays, and then anytime it's like a family event. Next, new here, what type of vehicle do you drive? Do you love it? I have a Honda Odyssey. It's a 2019. My husband has a Toyota Prius, which is hilarious because he's like a very big guy. He's like almost 6'6", but yet he drives this like really tiny car. Neither of us care about cars. Like, neither of us are the type that want a nice car someday. We could care less about having like a nice car. He especially is just more about being frugal. So he loves that the Prius like saves him so much money with like, it saves so much on gas. Honda Odyssey, I love it. I do think we're going to eventually need to upgrade. That was one of the things when I started YouTube, is I was like, any YouTube money I make, I'm just gonna start saving towards like a 15-passenger van or something like that. Because right now, yeah, with baby number 6 on the way, baby number 6 will fit, but every spot will be taken and it'll be tight, especially as our kids grow up and, you know, get a little bigger. Hopefully within the next few years we'll be able to upgrade, but we'll see. Did you grow up eating this healthy, or is this something you started on your own? I don't know, my family growing up, we definitely did not buy, like we weren't the house with all the good snacks. Like we never had things like Oreos or just like the best cereals, like whatever the good snacks were. I would say that my household was pretty healthy in a sense. There was definitely lots of processed foods. I feel like there was more of a focus on like high fiber, low fat, which now I wouldn't say is like the healthiest thing, but there was definitely like an effort to be healthy. And if you like see my dad, he's like extremely healthy. He's always like learning and trying out new health foods and whatever. I would say like compared to like the standard American diet, my family was pretty healthy, but I wouldn't say that that diet is healthy now. I myself started getting into eating healthy when I was probably around like 15. I remember the first kind of like healthy meal that I started having all the time was like Greek yogurt, which at the time it was like a processed yogurt, like vanilla yogurt or something with fruit, and I'd have a little dark chocolate bar with it, which, you know, that was like the beginning. I think where it all started, you know, Ellen Fisher, she's like a very popular vegan. I found her on YouTube when I was probably around 15, and I think she's what inspired my years of veganism. I think that's what initially got me into healthy eating, and then I transitioned from veganism to like eating meat and everything. Now I wouldn't say that veganism is like a healthy diet, but back then I definitely thought it was, and I would just say that's where the journey started. And then I started looking into other things and just reading different books, and now I'm where I am now. I did in college, I was going for culinary school, and then I decided to add on dietetics to it, and then I met my husband and got married, so I never did that. I've always had a huge interest in nutrition, like reading different books on it, and I think a lot of it too came from like a insecurity and like body image stuff like as a teenager. But then I think it transitioned into something good. Next, do you live close to family? Yes. Almost all of my husband's family lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, near us. Some of them only like 10 minutes away. So we do live very close to family. All of my family is still in Kentucky. What does your husband do? So my husband has his own business now, but he's also still working for another business. So that's why his job is kind of weird lately, where he's kind of in a transition phase where he works home a lot because he has his own business, but then he also sometimes has to go into the office most days right now because he still works for another business. It's mostly e-commerce stuff, so just selling different things online. Next, your kids' names are so unique. How did you come up with them? Do they have meaning? No, they have no meaning. We'll meet other families and their kids' names all have like beautiful meanings, and sometimes I'll think like, should we have done that? But no, our kids' names have no meaning. We just really liked the names. Most of them we found through the Social Security Administration website. I would like look at their name search and go back to the most popular names in like the oldest decade, which is the 1880s that they have on there. And that's how I would find a lot of our names, because I love old names, but I like real names. Like I don't want to name my kid like Plant. One thing that does have meaning is their middle names, and those are all chosen by my husband. And some of them at first I was not excited about, but now they've definitely all grown on me. So my daughter, her middle name is Lorena. That one we actually took a long time to come up with, but we ended up naming her that after like a Civil War song that my husband would like play all the time. He'd play on our honeymoon, and it was called Lorena. And then Wilder, his middle name is Cartwright, and that's from the show Bonanza. My husband loves that show, and he named him off a character on there. And then Thatcher's middle name is Stonewall, after General Stonewall Jackson. And then Draper is Coltrane, which I believe is from the show Gunsmoke. And then Sadler, his middle name is Jacob, and that's a biblical name. My husband ran out of like TV show characters to name our kids after, so we had to go to the Bible. Okay, next. How many siblings do you and your husband have? I have 3 siblings. And my husband has 7 siblings. Yeah, he definitely came from a large family and wanted a large family. And then I thought I came from a large family and wanted a large family. So it works out. What's your due date? My due date, and I've given myself this due date. I haven't seen a doctor or anything. just based off of I know exactly when I ovulated. So it's October 14th. Do you want more kiddos after this little one? I don't know. I'm just very much like one at a time. I feel like now my heart is like more open to more children. I think I shared on here before that I read a book last year called Hannah's Children. It's all these moms of like 5 children or more talking about why they made the decision to have more children, kind of talking about different concerns that people have with having lots of children. I did some soul searching last year, and I thought like, what are my concerns with having more children? And then I tried to like kind of answer those concerns. After really thinking about all of those things last year, praying about it, talking to my husband about it, I just felt like my heart was a lot more open to having more children. But I will say with like hormonal changes and different stages of pregnancy, I wouldn't be surprised if in like 8 months I'm like, this is my last baby. Usually it's just a phase. So I don't know. I don't know what the Lord has for us. We'll see. This is an easy one. Was this pregnancy planned? 100%. All of the times that we've gotten pregnant, we were like actively trying to get pregnant, except our first baby. We were not actively trying to get pregnant, and I thought I would have fertility issues because I always had really weird cycles growing up, and so I did not think I would get pregnant that easy, but we were definitely happy when we found out we were pregnant. All the other times we were very actively trying. So like this time, we've been wanting to be pregnant since April. I think that's when I read Hannah's Children. We've been wanting to be pregnant and just haven't been able to just because my cycle hadn't returned. Definitely planned for this baby. Will you share baby's name before they are born or wait until they are here? I feel like we'll probably wait until the baby's here. That's what we usually do. We're also like still toying with the idea of like, should we wait until the baby's born to find out the gender or find out at 20 weeks? Realistically, I feel like we can't wait that long, but it's also something that we've always talked about doing, and like I feel like we have to do it once. Like who knows if this is our last baby? I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about it. How do you manage pregnancy symptoms like the first trimester and taking care of a family too? I answered that question in my last Q&A, so you should go to that one. I'll link it in the upper right hand corner. How did you get past fear of being transported to the hospital with your home birth? There definitely was some fear in my second home birth, because my first home birth we transferred to the hospital because the baby ended up being breached. Sounds crazy, it's a long story. And then the second home birth, there was a time where I had a cervical lip and I was like 10 centimeters dilated. Once again, no urge to push, and it was just so defeating because it just felt like my body didn't know what to do. And I definitely had thoughts of like, are we gonna transfer to the hospital again? Honestly, I feel like I don't really have a good answer for this one. I feel like I'm someone who's very good at like compartmentalizing my thoughts and emotions. So I feel like sometimes if I have thoughts like that, I just try not to think about them. And that's probably not the best answer. It should probably be like I relied on the Lord's strength or something like that. But realistically, I don't think that's the truth. I think I just push those thoughts out of my mind. Do any family members come and stay with you when you deliver to help out? This last time, no, because my mom, she had like some crazy work stuff going on where her company was like taking on another company and she's like managing it all, and it was the worst timing. I had to move because the sun was like getting to be too much. So with my mom coming to help me, yeah, this last time she wasn't able to, and it was really sad. I really hope she can this time. Please, Mom. Love you. Last time after the baby was born, I was so excited to be home, and it was like finally the home birth I dreamed of. But it was also really sad because my husband had to take care of all the kids. So I felt like I didn't see my husband at all. And that was like so sad for me. My midwife was very like, you know, you need to stay in bed. You have this plate-sized wound inside your uterus that needs to heal, which I totally agree with. But it's just hard to like stay in bed when my husband and all the children are like downstairs, and like especially my husband, like after I have a baby, I just want it to be kind of like me, him, and the baby time. So I was really sad about that. Hopefully my mom will be able to come this time. That day that the baby was born, my sister-in-law, she took all of my children during the labor, so that was amazing. I don't know what we would have done without her in that situation. So yeah, that was amazing. Next, my first was breech, but I dream of a home birth. Advice for a VBAC at home. I would say, you know, make sure your husband's on board with it, but also find like a provider that you really trust. I forget where we were. I was just gone for like an hour talking to my neighbor about getting our trees cut down. But let's see. Oh yeah, making sure you trust your provider. So with my first home birth, where the baby was breech, I really just trusted my provider to make the best decision for me. And there was a period where we considered just doing a breech birth. And she consulted like many other midwives, like called people, had people with her. After talking to all of them about my birth and like my contractions and how they weren't consistent, they decided that it wasn't a safe option for me to do a breech birth. And then that's when she made the decision that I should transfer to the hospital. So yeah, I feel like her making that decision just made me trust her so much more, that she wasn't just trying to like force a home birth because I wanted one or because that's what she believes in, that she was really trying to make the best decision for the safety of me and the baby. So yeah, I feel like that's my biggest tip for going for a VBAC at home, is just make sure you really trust your provider to help you make the best decisions for your safety and for the baby. I did a whole video on why we homeschool. Have you always been a self-disciplined person, or has that developed in motherhood? If I was self-disciplined before, I definitely feel like it's intensified since motherhood, because like, yeah, I did go to the gym like every day before I got married, and like I always ate healthy. There were definitely seasons where I didn't. I think it also just depends on like the people you surround yourself with. Before I got married, I was very like working out every day, eating very healthy. But even then, it's a lot easier to do that when you just have ample amounts of time. Even though I was in school and working, you still have just so much time when you don't have like tons of children and like a house to take care of and whatever. So it was very easy to do those things. So I wouldn't say, even though I was still doing it, I wouldn't say I was as disciplined as I am now. Because when you're a mom, you have to be very intentional about making time for it every day. So yeah, I definitely feel like me being a disciplined person has intensified a ton since being married and having children. My husband is also like an extremely disciplined person. I would say far more than me. So I feel like also, once again, just surrounding yourself around people that are disciplined makes you more disciplined. That's one thing, is like try to surround yourself around people that you would want to emulate. But anyways, that's another whole conversation. Do you always give your kids the same food you and hubby are eating? Sometimes. I mean, it just depends. Like a lot of times I'll make dinner for the whole family. If I'm on some crazy diet, like the elimination diet, then I'll have some separate meal. Most of the time, ideally, I do like to have like the same meals for all of us, especially for dinner. Lunch and breakfast might be different, just because I personally feel like the protein requirements for children versus adults are different. So I might be very intentional about having lots of protein for me, whereas like the kids having eggs in their oatmeal, I personally feel like that's fine for them, even though I would say that's not enough protein for me. Breakfast and lunch are probably different, but dinner is usually together in the same. How do you manage chores around the house? Now is definitely not the time to ask me, because my kids are not doing chores at all right now, which sounds really bad, but it's a season, you know? We got in a habit where my daughter would clean all of the windows for me every morning, and we just need to start that back up again. It's kind of stopped because I don't have any window spray, and I've been telling her I'll make some, but I just keep not doing it. Like literally this morning, she asked me if she could clean the windows, and I forgot to do it. And then the boys every morning, they'll still unload the dishwasher with me, so we still do that. But yeah, I definitely need to be like better about having them do chores every day, because it would really be helpful to me if they got in a good habit of that stuff. Bedtime routine with 5 kiddos. One thing that's kind of interesting with me and my husband is I feel like we've never been huge bedtime routine people. I see a lot of people who they're like, they bathe their kids, then they get their kids dressed, then they get their kids in bed, then they like sing them a song and read them a story and blah, blah, blah. We've never been that way, like since the beginning. We just kind of like put our kids to bed. And we do like, you know, we do family worship. So if we didn't do it like at dinner, then really quick before bed, they'll all come in our room and my husband will read something in the Bible. Maybe we'll sing a hymn, like say the Lord's Prayer, catechism, stuff like that. But we don't have like a consistent bedtime routine. And I also just don't feel like we need one. I don't feel like it's something that's missing from our lives that we really need. Okay, what homeschool method do you guys follow? I would say that we follow like the classical model, and the curriculum we use is Memoria Press. How is Memoria Press Junior Kindergarten going? It's going very well. It's definitely a much slower pace than my daughter. With them, it's 2 days a week, and it just feels like fun. It just feels like a lot of coloring and cutting. We've put a much bigger emphasis lately on the flashcards. So most nights before bed, I'll have them all crawl in bed with me one at a time. They'll all get like 10 minutes on my timer, and we'll do flashcards on whatever they're working on, and that's been really helpful. One thing I've been wanting to share, which I've heard this from other moms in like Facebook groups, this is definitely not like typical me, because typical me is very like screen free. But one thing I wanted to share is there was like a week, maybe it was my first week of pregnancy or like first week of nausea, where I let my boys, all three of them, watch the Leapfrog Letter Factory show. It's like 20 minutes long or so, and I let them watch it every day for a week. And within a week, they learned all of their letter sounds. And I'm so happy we did that, even though it was screen time every day. And I'm definitely not like huge on like letting screen time be like your education for your kids, but also my boys know all their letters. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. So that is one thing that we've done recently that I've been meaning to mention if I haven't. I need to do a whole video on this, on how me and my husband met. Once again, online dating. But I'll do a whole video on that one. How were you raised compared to how you are now as a wife, homeschool, healthy living? I feel like I've kind of answered this in my past Q&A. I was raised in a Christian home. I tried all different schoolings. So I did private school, public school, homeschool. My family was, I would say we were a healthy family compared to the average American family. Even though now I wouldn't say it was like the healthiest eating. They were like doing what they believed to be healthy at the time, which back then was like low fat and high fiber, which high fiber is still good, but like processed high fiber. I definitely feel like working out was always a part of our lifestyle in some way. So even if it wasn't lifting weights, like I just remember as a kid, like always going to the gym with my mom and like walking on the treadmill for a while. More as I got into like my teen years, going to different like group fitness classes. We also like grew up on my grandma's farm, so we were just super active there all the time. I still feel like it's kind of like the same mentality of like just having an active lifestyle, trying to be healthy, but I just feel like it looks a lot different now, if that answers your question. Oh, and that was the last question. That's all for today. That is the end of this giant Q&A, part 2. I always think these videos are so much fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. If you did, please like and subscribe. I post videos every Tuesday and Thursday. I'll see you in the next one.